Good morning, Year 12. We're back again with another video looking at loan repayments. And this is really just an application of using the present value tables that we've been using for we used last lesson. So we've got here another present value table. We're going to be looking at a few situations, and we're going to continue using that formula PV equals A times X, where X is the interest factor, A is the regular repayment, and PV is the present value or the lump sum that is invested, or in this case, borrowed. So that's the main difference here. In this case, we're borrowing money and then we're paying it off over time. Okay, let's look at this example here. Jenny and Peter are looking for a loan to buy a house. They have prepared a budget and have calculated that they can afford to pay $1,800 per month. The current interest rate is 6% per annum, compounding monthly. Use the table of present values to determine how much they can afford to borrow over 20 years. Okay, give your answers to the nearest dollar. So rather than nearest cent, nearest dollar this time. So as always, when we're reading a question, we just need to be able to find the relevant and the important information out of it. So firstly, we're given the regular payment. So we know what A is. And sometimes if you're trying to start a question, the quicker you can get something on the page, the better. So sometimes you don't always have to set it out perfectly. But if you just start writing things that you know, then you start to realize what you do know, what you don't know, and what you need to work out. So as soon as I see $1,800 per month, I can just write, well, that's the regular repayment. So A is going to be $1,800. The current interest rate is 6% per annum, compounding monthly. So straight away, I can go, what, 6% per year? I need to convert it to month. I can say the interest is 6 divided by 12, which is going to be 0.5% per month. Again, you can just write that down. As soon as you read that, that's a relevant piece of information. You can write that down. We're using the table, how much can they borrow over 20 years? So if it's per month, the number of periods is going to be 20 times 12. Okay, which is going to be 240 months. Okay, so all I've done is I've sort of summarized the information into the relevant bits. I know what A is, I know what I is, I know what N is, and I need to find out how much they can afford to borrow. So I'm going to use my formula, PV equals A times X. And it doesn't take long to write these things down, but it just clears your mind up so that you can just progress through the question quickly. So over time, or over the whole question, it ends up taking you less time because you've just cleared your mind up, you know exactly what you're doing, and you can just progress forward. Okay, so PV is going to be $1,800, and then I've got to use my interest table. Now, you can see here, this interest table is the one with the smaller percentage. Remember last lesson we had two different tables, one that had percentages like 5%, 6%, 7%, and this one has things like 0.5%, 0.6%. And there's some question as to when do I use which table? And the answer is, well, if we're dealing in compounding monthly, then the percentage rates are going to be much smaller because we're dividing the per annum rate by 12. So this table is more appropriate to use for that because the scale of it is more conducive to monthly compounding. Whereas the other table, which had larger percentages, was better if something was compounding yearly. So that's what you got to look at. You got to look at your values. My I is 0.5. I won't be able to find that on the other table, but I can find it on this table here. So that's why I'm using it. So if I'm at 0.5, then I'm at 240 months. This is our interest factor here, 139.5808 times 139.5808, 1,800 800 times 139.5808, and that gives us the amount that they can borrow. So $251,000, 245. It says round to the nearest dollar. Now what you can do is just show that and then round if you want, or just round it straight away. So $251,000 is how much they can borrow. Now, I wish I could buy a house for that price these days in Sydney, but alas. Okay, let's look at a different question here. So to buy a car, John obtains a bank loan of $15,000 over 5 years at 7.2% per annum, compounding monthly. So I read the question and I write down what I know. I know that he wants to obtain a bank loan. So the lump sum or the present value here is going to be $15,000. Okay, and the interest, again, 7.2%, but we've got to convert it into monthly. So 7.2 divided by 12 is 0.6% per month. And then it's over 5 years, but we're compounding monthly. So again, we have to times by 12. So we have 60 months. Okay, I've just written down what I know, and you can kind of work out what you are eventually going to find out by what's not there. So in this case, we don't have A, so we know we can kind of predict what the question is going to ask in that sense. So use the table of present values, interest factors to calculate the monthly repayment. There you go. So I have to find out what A in my formula is. So this formula here again, you can substitute, make sure you put it in the right place. Let me fix that up. So A, and then let's find our interest factor. So 0.6% and 60 months. Obviously, it's going to take less time to pay off a car than it is to pay off a house. Okay, so 60 months. There's an interest factor, 50.2621. 50.26, let me just check, 21. Okay, and now because our unknown is the A, we need to move this component over to the other side to get A on its own. So we're going to divide both sides by that interest factor, rearrange it to become 1,500 over 50.2621 equals my A, and then A is just going to equal that. So 1,500 divided by 50.2621 equals, okay, let me just check I've got that right. I haven't put enough zeros. I was thinking when I put it in my calculator that $30 per month seems a bit too little. So if you're actually paying attention to how reasonable your answer is, it can help you realize when you've made a mistake. And 44 cents. Okay, that's much more reasonable paying off a car loan. Okay, so part B, calculate the total amount to be repaid over the term of the loan. So we found out we borrowed $15,000 and we're going to repay about $300 per month. If we want to find out how much we're going to pay back over the whole time, just take what you're paying per month and times it by the number of months. Okay, because that's what you're doing. You're paying the same amount each month, and after 60 months, you paid it all off. How much did you pay back in total? So it's going to be this figure times the number of months, which will give us, okay, $17,906.14 is how much we paid back. So you can see we paid back more than what we borrowed, and that's how the bank makes their money. That's one way. And then what is the amount of interest to be paid? Well, it's just going to be the amount we pay back minus the amount we borrowed. So minus what we originally borrowed, and that is what the bank makes the interest. So 2,906.14 is the amount of interest paid over the 5-year period. All right, so I hope you've understood this video. It's kind of bringing back a few other things that we've done before, but let me know if you have any questions in the group chat, and I'll see you in the next video.